Welcome to Paranormal Into the Night with your host, Dino Ewell. All things spooky, all things paranormal. Get set, get spooked.
Hey everybody, welcome to Paranormal Into the Night radio show with me. Well, I don't know why I say that every time, Dino Ewell. I'm your host. And it's been a couple weeks since I've been on the air. Little changes here. This may be my last show for a while. I'm not saying I'm going away, but I have to get things done. So I'm working on a book, a vampire book. I really want to get this done. There's too much going on. This has been a whirlwind of a year. I can't tell you how much stuff is just in this head of mine, and just I'm trying to get it all out. And it finally came to a point to where I'm like, I got to put things aside, otherwise nothing is going to get done. I love doing this show. I love the guests I've had on the show. Everything about it, Paranormal Into the Night. I might as well throw that out there. If you want to find us, just search Paranormal Into the Night. Facebook page. That's where everything is shared. You'll find all the shows, everything else. Spreaker. Give a little search Paranormal Into the Night. YouTube Paranormal Into the Night. And on iTunes, in your Apple iTunes Store or Google Play Store, it's there too. Just type in Paranormal Into the Night and we will pop up. Subscribe, you'll never miss an episode, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to still be sticking around. I still plan on hopefully getting a show out every Friday, if not every other. So you guys will get some stuff from me. So that is going to happen. I will continue it, but I think it's just going to be a lot less frequent. Just got stuff I got to do, stuff I want to get done. And like I said, this year has been long between, oh my God, I can't get in. There's just way too much stuff to get into. All I know is I love you all. Peace to every single one of you guys that have stuck with me over this, boy, has it been a year and a half. Well, I've got Edie Caito with Bigfoot, Indiana Bigfoot, and she was one of my first that I've ever interviewed. That's why I said, you know what? Let's make her my last. If it ends up being my last, it's my last show. I have Edie, and it's going to be great. So I'm going to thank her when I get her on here. She's wonderful. She's been there since the beginning, and I can't say enough about her. I'm also going to throw out there that Facebook Live does not seem to be working. I screwed something up on this phone. I don't know what I'm doing. It's a new phone. I don't even see it on the page, so I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm not sure if it went on another page that I got, but whatever. You guys still can find us at... Dave is in the chat in www.pitnradionetwork.com, and Edie Caito was going to give away a couple books to anybody in chat who, has questions or anything like that, but it may not happen. I don't see too many chatters right now. I see Dave on the website. Mary Love joined. There you go. Mary's here. All right. She made it to the website. All right, Mary Love. Unbelievable. Edie, I'm getting to you in a second. I'm just throwing all this stuff out there. And yeah, I guess there's not really much more else to say. Everybody who's listening to this probably knows where to find me and stays tuned, right on my page and everything. So I will always keep you guys updated and everything else. Let me get to the one person who I'm glad to have on here, Edie Caito. She is, oh my God, she's much more than a Bigfoot researcher, gifting. She's much more than that, and we'll get into everything. We're going to talk a little Walking Dead. We're going to talk about her daughter, Michaela. We're going to talk Walter a little bit. There's just so much more than Bigfoot when it comes to this lady. She's into a lot of different stuff. And this is because she's been into the paranormal for many, many, many years. So that's why I think we'll talk about it. So Edie Caito, her first book, yeah, that's right, Edie. Indiana Bigfoot, The Beautiful Mind. You can find it on Amazon. We got the links underneath here. It'll be in all of wherever you find this link to this show, you'll have this Amazon links there. So hopefully you'll buy the book. They're great reads. I read the second book, which is she just finished and got published not long ago. Indiana Bigfoot, her second book, The Cave and Beyond. And you go to Amazon.com, just type in Edie Caito, which is in the links. You'll see it, and it'll come up. She's also going to be working on her book on Walter, which we'll be talking about. I think I've talked to her 2 or 3 times about that subject. That's kind of where all this started and everything, a possession, true crime type of story. And based on facts. And I hope that book gets out eventually. We will talk about her daughter, Michaela, too. I'm sorry, guys. I see Edie here. She's smiling. So I just... Well, hey, Edie, how are you doing?
I'm good. It was just when you said get it out eventually, because you know what it's like. I mean, yeah. Life gets in the way of life sometimes.
Oh yeah, there's sometimes you get caught up in way too much going on in your life, and you try to get way too much accomplished that there's no time in the day to get any of it 100%, so
yeah,
I totally understand, and that's why I'm kind of having to, even though, there was a point to where I wanted to do this 5 nights a week. I'm like, you know what? This is really starting to roll. I'm getting good guests here, people really coming to me wanting to get on, but it's just too much.
Yeah.
So, that's just how it is. Maybe one day, maybe 6 months down the road here, maybe in a year from now, maybe I'll be on Monday through Friday. Who knows? I need to get a couple things out of the way. And that vampire novel, if anybody knows Anne Rice, okay, you are going to get that kind of story in a whole new manner of speaking. It's going to be great. I really hope to get, fingers crossed that I can get this done within this year. Okay, maybe sooner. I'm about a quarter of the way there. We'll get this done. I'm not going to divulge any names. The title is going to be great. It's going to be great. But anyways, yeah, so Edie, man, where to start off? Do I dare start off talking The Walking Dead first? Because I could not believe what... And Edie's got a Walking Dead store. She sells t-shirts and stuff like that, and she can tell you in a second here too. But I knew the deaths were coming with Glenn and the other, but what really got me was how they treated Rick.
Oh, yeah.
And
that was... Michaela and I were actually talking about this yesterday. Because she went to her sister's and watched it with her, and I stayed here with Vince and watched it. And, we kind of both knew that, Glenn and Abraham's death was coming.
Yeah.
But we both agreed that to see Rick broken and crying and begging, the Rick that we've never seen before, that is what really, really got to us. I mean, I was hysterical and crying throughout the entire episode. I mean, because I watched...
You cried. I was angry. I wanted to take that Negan and I wanted to beat the living crap. And I'm like, Rick, what is going on? It was terrible.
I know. And well, what I did is I always watch, when they have the marathons leading up to it.
Yeah.
And I always watch the finale right before it, because the last finale was just so intense. Mm-hmm. Watching them being these rats, like trapped in this maze, and no matter which way they went, they were running into more and more and more of these men, and they couldn't get anywhere, and you could feel that tension just building, and then them getting caught in those headlights in the middle of that forest, that it was just frightening.
Oh, God.
And so from that leading in having that emotion and then watching Abraham being bludgeoned to death. Not to mention Suck My Nuts, which it's hard to be screaming and crying in hysterics and laughing at the same time.
Oh yeah, no, that part, yeah, definitely. But
Glenn, I was telling Michaela, I was like, okay, it was brutal, but did they have to show him eyeball hanging out,
No.
blood gushing out, and him talking because his brain is damaged?
Yes.
And I'm like, that was just too much. And then they have to show him laying on the ground, barely any head left, and his hand twitching. I'm like, this is horrible.
You know what? It's a show that is so... I mean, it's one of the biggest shows out there. Mm-hmm. So they're pushing the limit. I mean, in a way, it's not totally bad, but in the way they did it, I mean, you can almost X-rated. This was almost an R-rating movie, I mean.
Yeah. In my opinion, here is my opinion. 6 seasons, leading into this, we have seen people be killed, people be beaten, people stabbed and shot, and walkers basically, getting their faces ripped off. And we've seen some things that have pretty much turned our stomach. So for them to bring the shock value that they needed to lead us to the point of Rick breaking down, they had to do something really, really extreme. So a lot of people called it overkill, but myself, I see, because it really elicited the response that they wanted.
Oh yeah, 100%. I agree. I mean, in real life, something like this happens. I mean, society breaks down. There's, this is life. People are going to be brutal. Things like that are going to happen, and so I see it. Somebody taking the reins and maniacal. I mean, you go back to Hitler. You give him all the control, and look what he does. So I can see Negan being that type of character, but it was brutal just to watch, and I had to talk about this a little bit with you because I know you're a Walking Dead fan. And and
it's funny because I wasn't.
Really?
I wasn't. My Michaela and my older daughter Shara watched it. They were total fanatics, and I think it was season 3 or 4 that they got me to start watching. So I Netflixed it. I binged watched it, and I was absolutely in love, just like they said I would, because I am a sucker for these deep developed characters that that become real. They're not real in your conscious mind, but in your storybook fantasy sitting in front of the TV mind, these people are very real to you. And I just fell in love with it. And so I've been watching regularly since season 4. Yeah, it was 4 or 5. Yeah. And now I'm just as big a fan as anybody. And right now I am out there. And if anybody is listening that is a Walking Dead fan, the People's Choice Awards is coming up. And we all know that the Emmys does not have a sci-fi fantasy category. So you'll never see Walking Dead until that changes. But the People's Choice Awards is coming up. Their voting is open. And The Walking Dead is up for favorite television show. It is up for favorite sci-fi fantasy show. Andrew Lincoln and Norman Reedus are up for favorite sci-fi fantasy actors. And Lauren Cohan, and I cannot pronounce the woman's name that plays, what is it?
Machete.
Denai.
Oh.
The one who plays Michonne. She is up. Those two are up for the actresses. So they're in 4 categories. We need to get in there. Vote, vote, vote. You can vote 1,000,000 times a day if you want to. I want to see The Walking Dead walk up there on stage. I want to see these talented actors and actresses get what they're due. They're fabulous.
Listen to Edie pushing The Walking Dead on the People's Choice Awards.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I love that award show because truly it is decided by the fans. It's not just
Right,
a board
exactly.
of stuffed shirts who get to decide what they think is good.
Oh yeah, I hear you.
You know, it's the fans, and it's the fans what makes it. And I think the People's Choice Awards really means more to actors and actresses than anything, because it's completely fan based. And so we're not going to see Andrew and Norman walk up on that stage unless people get out there and really, vote. I know I have been every day. I've been, sharing it. I made my own little fancy little post with
yeah, I saw that
pictures
today.
and everything.
Yep.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
And you got a Walking Dead t-shirt, right? Page store.
Yeah. Michaela and I started designing because, one, she is incredibly talented on the computer with graphics and being able to make vector images and making the images that we can put on a t-shirt, and they look pretty good. And we noticed that a lot of these companies were the limited time only and everything, and they're charging $25 for a $10 t-shirt.
Yep.
And we sell the same exact Fruit of the Loom t-shirts that they're selling for $25. Ours are $15.97.
There you go. That's a deal. That's a deal and a half.
Yeah, and so they're our own designs, and we have a lot of fun putting them together. And so yeah, think about us at Christmas time. We also do.
Well, what's the name of the page exactly?
It is The Walking Dead Fans Custom Stuff and Things.
Okay, there you go.
Not things, things.
Things.
Stuff
So there you go.
Things.
Just type in Walking Dead Things, and it will come up. So there you go. Get a t-shirt. Everybody, and they're probably tuning in and go, we're going to get the Bigfoot. Don't worry about it. We'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, oh yeah, I needed to talk Walking Dead. Hey, if this is my last show, possibly. I don't think it is. But I don't think it. But
we gotta give it. We gotta give it up for this last episode, though. King Ezekiel, dude is so cool, and for him to see through Carol and her. Her June Cleaver performance was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved the character. Love him.
He was really good. I liked him. And I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, how he walked up at the end of, and knocked on the door, that's not spoiling nothing.
No.
It makes me wonder, okay, what's going to happen here? He's going to
take a bow wow.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what Michaela said. She goes, I feel a little bit of sexual tension.
Oh, boy. You know what? I didn't even go that way. No, I didn't think that.
I did.
Did you?
I felt
okay.
that. Because they really connected, because when he looked at her and said, don't bullshit the bullshitter, you could see it in her eyes. She was like, this guy gets me.
Yeah.
Not only does he get me, he sees right through me. So I see that, Carol is she's really going to find somebody that she's really able to connect to.
Okay. Yeah, you're diving deep into the characters.
She's going to flip her crap when she finds out, though, what happened.
Okay, yeah, I don't know either. Have you read the novelizations or the what you call it? No,
I don't keep up on the comic. Simply because I don't like to ruin things.
No, me either. So that's why I asked. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and so. I've heard, this is what happens in the comics and that is what happens. But I know they've steered away from the comics quite a few times. So.
Right. They have. For sure. But yeah, I just seen it as he's trying to pull her back in. But, I guess I see your side of it too. So who knows? We'll find out. But
Carol needs it. Carol needs it. She really does. She's poor girl. She's been through a lot.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, they all have, but yeah, she's been through a heck of a lot for sure. Okay, so shall we veer off of Walking Dead a little bit here?
Yes. Let's get on to the Bigfoot stuff.
Yes, let's talk about I don't even know whether to go through a little quick, recap of the first book if you want to very quickly, and then we can work our way up to the cave and beyond.
Okay. Well, kind of to summarize the first book, my husband and I were in the forest. We were doing research for the upcoming book that we'll talk about later, which is Orion Rising. And we were driving through Morgan Monroe State Forest in Martinsville, Indiana. And we were on a back road. It was a gravel road. It was late at night. It was dark. These old roads, of course, there are no street lights. We had the brights on. And all of a sudden, a Bigfoot just right out in front of the car.
Wow.
Enormous. Absolutely enormous creature. And, it even took a couple of weeks for my husband to quite digest everything that happened. And we ended up contacting Leroy Nail and his wife Nancy through the Indiana Bigfoot Research Organization. Shout out to those guys. Fantastic group. They kind of took us under their wing and, explained to us what to look for in the forest. And, we had been out there camping for so long and we didn't know the things that we were hearing that we were thinking, oh, well, I wonder what that noise was. You're just kind of ignoring it. But all along we were hearing these howls and these screams, and we were seeing these structures and tree breaks and tree bends and the things that they pointed out to us. We had no idea that they were around us. So from that time on, he and I started going back to the forest every weekend. Of course, when it happens, that the one thing that you want to do is have that experience again. Did that really happen? And so we started going out on a regular basis. We were there every single weekend. And I kind of steered away from the whole going out into the forest, chasing them down, banging on the trees, and all of the stuff that you hear and you see on a lot of these shows. It just kind of wasn't my thing. And I started a more gentle approach, which is called habituation. And Barb Shoop, for those of you who know anything about the Bigfoot community, probably know her. She's got a YouTube channel, Squatching with Barb and Gabby. And this is what she does. She goes out to the forest and she would leave gifts. And the Bigfoots would take from her. And I thought, wow, that is such a cool concept. So that's what I started doing. And she and I had some banter back and forth, and she kind of mentored me, steered me in the right direction. And to make a long story short, it took about 6 months, and they started taking gifts from me. And throughout the first book, you're with myself and my husband as we're trying to figure things out. We're, different situations where we're surrounded by Bigfoots, we're flanked by them. They're knocking around us. Situations where there's one like really close to our tent and screaming, and one in particular where we get this amazing recording of a Bigfoot. It's 26 seconds long, and we hear the howl and run because it's 2:30 in the morning. It's the middle of winter in Indiana. It's maybe 20 degrees outside. We're in an isolated, closed down campground. We hear this howl. It's 20 feet away. We run. And we get to the car and realize that we had left the recorders about a quarter of a mile down the road where all the noise was coming from. So my husband goes back and gets it. We come home and we listen, and not only did we get a howl, we have about 26 seconds of vocalization where a very large male Bigfoot is speaking to us and talking in obviously another language. It's an incredible recording, and from that moment on is when I went in a completely different direction. That's when I realized I'm safe with them. Here I have been trading gifts with them and everything, but that hearing his voice and almost a yearning, like, why are you leaving kind of thing. It did not sound like, hey, come back, I want to have you for dinner. It wasn't like that at all. and it completely changed my outlook on things.
You
And
you
I
immediately
started,
had a connection with the Bigfoot, so
yeah, well, it was after that that I guess my mind opened up a lot more, and I think they were able to pick up on that, the fact that I was no longer terrified for my life. They still scare me from time to time.
oh,
Don't
I
get me
bet,
wrong.
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm not afraid they're going to kill me.
Well,
I
I
feel,
scare my kids and wives every now and then, so it
yeah,
happens.
yeah, I feel 100% confident they've had their chance to have me for dinner, or to kidnap me, or
Yeah.
as my daughter says, kidnap me and make me their love slave, or
Oh boy.
anything like that. So that's what the first book does, and it takes you through until we find, obviously, a cave in the side of the hill. And it was, to us, it was like, wow. It was an area that, we had hiked back through, and it was just so.
Well, when did you actually find the cave? How long ago was this?
We actually found the cave the same week my first book went to publish.
Okay.
So it was July-ish of last year.
Okay.
And so it was right maybe a couple of weeks before the book came out. We were getting ready to go, and I added that in to the end because it was something that was going to carry through to the next book. I didn't mean to make it a cliffhanger, but I did make it a cliffhanger that made some people kind of mad. But the second book is out, and it does pick up right where we left off with the cave.
Cool. There you go. And if anybody wants to hear the past interviews I've done with Edie, you can go onto the YouTube page, Paranormal Into the Night, and scroll down. I think I've interviewed her about, oh my God, 4, maybe 5 times? I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
I think so. I think it's been 4.
Okay, you might be
5.
right.
I think the 5th one was maybe with Yvonne on her show.
Right. I think
on the
that's
Spooky Pants.
Yes. Our one and only Spooky Pants show. So, yeah.
It was so much fun, though.
It was. I love the title. I love the name, and Yvonne's great. So, it was awesome.
And she is currently, I believe, in Arizona, and
Yep.
she messaged me after she saw the book was released, and she's like, I want to get you on. I said, Dina got me first, and she goes, darn.
Oh.
I get second dibs.
There you go. Yeah, no, you got to get on with Yvonne. You got to do the groovy bean. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's a pleasure to do a show with. She really is.
She is. And so yeah, go back in there and Paranormal Into the Night, search, and we've gone 2, 4, 6, 8. So we've talked about 8, 9 hours, maybe something like that, prior to this. So there's plenty of stuff to listen to.
And we never really told a lot of the stories twice because it seemed like every time you had me on, something new happened.
Yes. Which I was going to ask you up until. Well, we'll get to the cave here, and we can start talking about it. I guess it doesn't really matter, because since the last time I've talked to you, I'm sure you've been out there plenty of times, and some more stuff has happened. But let's take it from when you find that cave and what happens from that point.
Okay. Well, I don't really want to give that part away.
Right. Okay.
I can just say spoiler alert. Okay.
No matter what you say too, I guarantee everybody the book you're going to want to read it. So,
But Dino is saying that because he's actually in the book.
Okay? Yes. Oh, and thank you so much, Edie. Yes. I am right at the top of the book when you first start reading it, and I love it. Thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
And in the chapter in between, the middle,
yes.
You and Yvonne are mentioned, and because
just being a part of it is so awesome. Yes, and it's funny how people work their way into your lives for a reason, and I'm not saying it was for any important reason, but you're in my life and you're on the show, and one of the first people I interviewed got me going on all of this stuff, kind of helped me propel me into this kind of radio gig thing here that I got going. So, I appreciate, and you know what? Me writing my book, seeing you getting down there writing your Bigfoot book, I'm like, I'm going to go, dive right into it too. So, you've had a big influence on what I've been doing. So there you go.
Well, I appreciate that. But, okay, the cave.
Yes, the cave.
We went back, the first night that we hiked back, we got a late start. And so we didn't get back there till it was starting to get dark, and the cave was literally on a hill that was like straight up. So we knew it was going to take some climbing instead of just walking to get up there. So instead, myself and my husband and a friend of ours, Terry, decided we would just go ahead and we'd sit in this area near the cave for a few hours because it was starting to get dark. It's really a cool area because it's where there are 3 different ridges that come together in this area. And as a lot of people do know that Bigfoot's like that ridge vantage point. They like to be able to look down and, see their surroundings. So here we are at the bottom where these near where all 3 of these ridges converge, and we get a little fire started, and we're just kind of sitting back and chilling, and we start hearing these howls and these screams and these knocks, and back and forth. This went on for 25 minutes continuously. We have it recorded. It is incredible what we hear. I don't know if it was because we were close to a place that they spend a lot of time. All the signs were there when we hiked back on the trail. There were big X's across the path. There were trees pushed over on the path. There couldn't have been any more obvious signs that they didn't want us back there unless one of them stepped out and said no. They pretty much, didn't want humans back there, and we went there, and it was pretty incredible to sit there and listen to this, and being at the bottom in the middle of these 3 ridges, it was continuously echoing.
It had to be scary as heck, man.
It was extremely intimidating because we knew if they got too much closer, it would not be easy to get out of there. Because we were down at the bottom. Right. We're surrounded by these ridges. The ridge we just walked, the opposite side was straight down. And so it's a very precarious area. You have to be very careful when you're hiking it. So, it was a crazy situation, but it was amazing, the recordings we got. And we were able to go back a couple of weeks later during the day. We were finally able to climb up there and see what was really going on.
Okay. There you go. So you guys did make it up to the cave, which, and you know what? It's a perfect spot, right, for a Bigfoot family. I mean, it's out of the way. It's up there.
Let's just say looks can be deceiving.
Okay.
But, regardless, we found some amazing evidence that day. We found an enormous pile of scat.
Well, you gotta have your scat. I mean,
Yeah, but the thing is for anybody who's listening who doesn't know, the title of the book is Indiana Bigfoot. We are in Indiana. The largest wild creatures we have running around out here, as far as animals go, are white-tailed deer. We don't have bears. We do have coyotes. They're, the size of a medium-sized dog. So anything that would leave a pile of scat the size of what we found does not exist in Indiana.
Nope.
It was huge. And
unless it was a cryptid or something like that. I mean, I'm in Ohio,
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
We get bears, but even bears really aren't going to get you, something that large, So yeah, I hear you.
It had to have been large, and whatever it was, the interesting part is that there were hornets that had been chewed up and partially digested in the scat, and there had to have been a good 200 of them in there.
Really?
So,
huh? Yeah, I think I remember you saying something like that before. So
yeah, there's actually a picture in the book of the scat. Yes, I published a picture of Bigfoot poop. Because we were just blown away. We were thinking, what in God's name would eat an entire nest of these things?
For the honey?
Because, pardon me?
For the honey?
I don't think.
No?
I don't think yellow jackets or hornets make honey.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah, I don't think hornets do. I don't know. I don't know what hornets do. They like to sting people for no good reason at all.
There you go. Okay,
I don't like them. You cannot have a bottle of soda or anything sweet in the fall in Indiana, because you look over and there's 20 of these suckers all over your soda can. But
I hate that. Any fair you go to or little farm.
I was kind of thrilled to see an entire nest of these things chewed up inside of the scat. And so, we did a little quick research, and it said really the only things that eat them are bears. It was bears, badgers, and Bigfoots.
Really? Okay. You know what? Now I think I remember hearing them somewhere along the line on Discovery or something like that. Badgers eating hornets and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, you would have to have such a thick, leathery tongue and mouth, and oh my God, can you imagine getting stung that many times? But oh well, yeah, wow.
Yeah, so it was,
so scat filled with hornets.
Yeah, and there was a lot of it, and it was on the side of this ridge where there was a trail, a wildlife path. I'd say maybe a couple feet, a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet wide, and I was able to get up on it and, on my hands and knees, and that was about all the room that I had. So
climbing up to the cave?
Yes. This was, climbing up is actually on the same level as where the limestone, the overhang was. Okay.
Can I say something else too? I'm sorry, Edie. I don't mean to interrupt you. You know what you could also do, and you could maybe make kind of a small living off of this. Get the Bigfoot scat and get yourself some kind of Bigfoot manure. Get a title going, a name. People will pay a lot of money for
Bigfoot poop.
Yes, for their gardens. You know what I mean? So all their vegetables will grow to unbelievable proportions. Okay. Anyways,
that's great.
I'm sorry. There you go. Okay. Sorry.
Somebody's going to steal that idea, Dino. And we're going to see it on a late night infomercial. Your vegetables will grow as large as a Bigfoot with Bigfoot manure.
There you go. Bigfoot scat. Throw it in your garden. You know what? I'm telling you. Do it. Save it all. Put it in. No, okay, go ahead. Okay, so you're climbing.
It was amazing, and we were going to go back the next day to get a sample. I had nothing with me to take a sample with, and of course that night it rained like crazy. Ugh. So we're sure that it didn't last. We haven't ran across any since. It's just not something you see. You don't see Bigfoot scat. A lot of people theorize that they're very tidy about it, that they cover it up or they hide it. And after finding this in the place where we found it, I can see that they probably pretty much hide it.
Okay. So it wouldn't be a wise idea to start a business on that, because you'd sell it once and you'd have a bare shelf. Anyways. I'm telling you.
But yeah, so, from the cave, that's where we kind of go into more in depth into the gifting and how we really start building trust with one another, and they start to communicate with me. which was a big step.
And their communications were through what they were doing and some vocalizations, right?
Yeah. Basically, the first time that there were any what I would consider concrete communication was when it had been several weeks. They hadn't been to the gifting site. As far as I could see, they hadn't taken anything. And I was concerned. And I was getting frustrated. And I was thinking, maybe they've left. I don't know. And so I just kind of spoke out loud into the forest, because I do that. I talk to them. And this time I said, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I'm worried. I want to make sure you guys are okay. You've got to let me know somehow, that you guys are okay. And we had left the gifting site and went down the trail because we had found a new tree break. Yeah, right. that was kind of, that let us know they were still around, because it was a fresh tree break. It was about 12 feet in the air. And, of course, there was absolutely nothing around it at all that was damaged. Anybody who knows storms, if you're going to have a tree broken, you're going to have damage around it. And there wasn't any. So we were doing that. So we got a few pictures. We started back up the trail. And right in the middle of the trail, laying end to end, were 3 turkey feathers. Very large tail feathers. Oh. And they were right in the middle of the trail, and they were laying end to end. And I'm like, I pick them up. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And my husband's like, what? And I said, they're turkey feathers. And I'm like, they weren't here when we walked by the first time. And he goes, well, maybe a turkey dropped them. I said, okay, we're like, 50 feet that way, and a turkey just waltzes over, explodes, and feathers fly, and just happen to land end to end in the middle of the trail, and then it disappears. He goes, I don't know, because he's always the skeptic.
Right,
but
right.
I picked up the feathers. I knew wholeheartedly it was their way of telling me we're okay. Mm-hmm. The following week, we went back to the gifting site. It was hilarious because, again, very little of the food had been touched, but there was a turkey feather sticking out of one of the bricks, because I put bricks on top of the containers to keep the small animals from opening them, and there was a turkey feather sticking out of the brick. I looked at my husband and I said, so, explain that. And he's like,
right,
I can't. And that's when he started to realize that there was a little bit more going on than just trading gifts, that
they're really interacting.
I was starting to connect with
right.
them.
And I think that's what I like about your story, is because you kind of talk about all these little things that, there's you could say one thing about stuff being thrown on the ground and this being here, or a little bit of evidence over here. But you actually, like you said, the turkey feather, they would have had to have picked it up, stuck it in between the bricks, because freak accident, wind comes up and throws it and flips it up and into there like that. It's okay. 1 in a billion? I mean, I don't know. Let's just say, but there's other stories with how you put food in the Tupperware. They would actually have to open it, take the thing out, close it back up. So it's all of this kind of stuff that you've set up that really lends credence to your story and backs up a lot of what you talk about. So that's really different than a lot of the other people and stories I've heard out there. So that's why your story just continues to amaze me, and I'm just entranced with the whole story and continuing on with it. So what the future holds, who knows? I mean, I think you will continue this as long as you can, I guess, right? Yeah,
absolutely. I've learned so much over the past few years that, because I did my research online, and, I would listen, and there are a lot of people who associate Bigfoots with UFOs, UFO sightings, strange lights. Some people believe that they can basically teleport that they use.
Interdimensional, yep.
Yeah, interdimensional travel and things like that. I am more of your I gotta see it to believe it kind of person.
Me too. Yep.
And I know they move fast. When my daughter had her sighting, it was there. It stood up. It looked her right in the eye. It dove over a log and took off. We didn't hear it move. We went down the hill. It was gone. We thought, it just poofed. It just disappeared. But later we did find, as we were hiking back from the cave that day, that it looks like the bottom of the hollow, but underneath that is another ledge that's about, maybe 100 feet or so wide that they could drop down to and not be seen from where we were. So he easily was able to drop down there. So interdimensional.
Well, the Bigfoots might be creeping in here. You're cutting in and out a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely. This happens every single time I do an interview.
Well, let's hope you stay on, though. Let's not totally cut out. But, a really quick question, too. Dave in the chat wanted to ask, how far away is this from civilization where you're interacting with the Bigfoot? Like, I know it's somewhere in Indiana, but from civilization, how far in are you?
Well, there are homes that surround the forest that are actually bumped up to the forest. The forest is 25,000 square acres, I do believe. If I haven't looked at the pamphlet yet, it's not an enormous forest, but the thing is this particular forest attaches to Yellowwood Forest, which attaches to Hoosier National Forest, which gives them literally so many miles and miles and miles of terrain that they can live in.
Wow.
So, but there are farmhouses and everything. But again, this is a state-owned forest. Mm-hmm. So you do have two homes that sit actually in the forest that are the director and the head DNR officer. Mm-hmm. Then you have, on the outskirts, you have a lot of farms. And so we're not talking, we're right there close to town, but, they're not too far from the nearest Walmart.
Okay.
So
they're close enough to civilization, but yet...
Close enough, yeah, absolutely.
Yet easy enough to get back into the deep forest, so...
Yes. There are parts of Morgan Monroe State Forest that are rugged, really, really, really rugged. It's a lot of people see Indiana as flat, and if anybody's seen the episode of Finding Bigfoot when they come to Indiana, they even admit to the fact that they thought Indiana was flat until they hit the Martinsville area and realized, wow, we had no idea Indiana was like this. And they actually filmed in Morgan Monroe State Forest. So
cool. I don't think I've seen that episode. Although I don't watch a whole lot of Finding Bigfoot.
I do believe my husband said it's like season 2, episode 1 or episode 2, I believe.
Okay.
But they do come to Morgan Monroe State Forest. They don't have a lot of luck. They did get a good recording of the howler that we have, the one that just, this thing will cut loose and start howling, and it will just go on and on and on. And then every coyote within 10 square miles kicks up and starts yipping.
Yep.
Because they just, the howl is just so...
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's so hard to describe unless you hear it.
Once you get a howl going, they're all going to howl. So, yeah, the dogs chip in. All you got to do is sing to your own dog, and they'll start howling, and you're like, there you go. So
yeah. So, but they got that while they were out here. But, so, yeah, we're not isolated. We're not like, some areas of Colorado where you're not going to see a house for 100 miles. It's not like that out here. But
Well,
I think that lends itself into the Bigfoots being a little bit more comfortable around people.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably more common than you would think because, think about it. Even if you're bumped up against, say, 50 acres, how often are you going to go walking around on your 50-acre land? I mean, so what the point I'm trying to get to is you don't go into that forest or even though you live around it or the area, located too often, even though you live close to it. Everybody stays in their homes for the most part. There's not a lot of people going out venturing off, just like people who never see a UFO. How often do they look up in the skies,
Well, if this gives you any idea, and this is a good example, I mentioned these people briefly in the second book. It's a family that we met that did come to the IBRO because they wanted answers. They had lived on the same house for 18 years.
Wow.
And their teenage son just happened to be out on the property. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they own like 10 acres. And then that's surrounded by cornfield. And then there's more forest. But the son was out on a four-wheeler, had his little sister on the back. They were picking wild berries. The boy looks up, and there's a Bigfoot standing not 50 feet away next to a tree, just standing there watching him. He, of course, gets on the four-wheeler, grabs his sister, shoves her on, and they go back to the house. They tell their dad. He goes back out, and sure enough, he gets the same exact sighting. And that's when they came to us. And then they've been, talking and working with the IBRO now for about a year. And they said now that they look back over the last 18 years, there were some really bizarre things that happened. They would hear big thumps on the roof.
Wow.
Just crazy things. And now that they know that they're there, it's like the Bigfoots know, okay, we know that you know, so we're not going to be afraid. And the gentleman, this story is what really, really, I just love it so much. He had gotten up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. He was walking back through, and I guess they have quite a large window in the family room that looks off the back of the house. He was walking through, and there was a juvenile Bigfoot in the backyard with two very small babies that were running around the backyard playing.
Oh, wow. No way. I say no way as in wow. I'm just trying to picture it. Wow.
And it's just fabulous what this family has experienced, what they're still experiencing.
So 18 years go by with nothing because they're not paying attention.
Oh, but yeah, the kids. They said that they said they remembered the kids out playing in the woods once, and they come back and they said they saw a foot sticking out of the grass. And the parents were like, what do you mean a foot? And they said, there was a foot sticking out of the grass. And they thought, kids, But the kids still to this day remember the foot and how big it was.
Wow.
And that it moved.
So the Bigfoot was laying out there just leisurely, and the kids come running by.
Yeah, just sunning itself in the field.
Wow, that's amazing. What a story.
So this family, they're blessed in many ways, and there is a funny story. They had asked me about gifting, and I said, well, they live near your property. I said, they come, they show themselves to you now. I said, why not?
Yeah.
So they had gone out, and they had left a few things, and we kind of texted back and forth, and he was like, yeah, they took the little cartons of milk and this, that, and the other. Well, they decided they couldn't do it anymore, because they had left one day and the juvenile had gotten into their garage and into the cupboard where they had the milk stored and had taken it because they hadn't left any out lately. So they basically said, okay, if you're going to come into the house and into the garage and take things, we can't leave things for you anymore.
Yeah. Well, see, the Bigfoot, they're starting to become the mafia there.
But it was a juvenile.
No, I know.
Teenagers are they're troublemakers. They like to throw rocks. They like to cause trouble. Just
Give
like
me my milk.
any ordinary teenager.
Oh, that's funny.
But it's a great story, and I told him, I said, well, maybe the more you talk to them,
hmm
maybe set some ground rules, maybe you can go back to that someday. I said, because it really is, it's an amazing experience when they start to trust you, and when you go out there every week that, hey, they trust me and I trust them.
hmm
And it's really, really a cool thing, because I never know what I'm going to find every time I go out, and
Wow.
to
Oh
see
no,
if
I
they've
know.
taken food or anything.
Yeah. I got people. I am amazed people are actually chatting today. I mean, I got Wendy Lucero and a Spreaker chat. Verna, Kathy's there.
Hi, everybody.
Got Dave, got Mary Love. So people are actually chatting today, but we'll figure out how to give out books if she's able to here. We'll figure it out.
If you can just start jotting down names
I
of
will.
people who are in chat.
One of you guys will get a book from her, signed book. So.
Yeah, so anybody who's in chat who wants their name put in to win a signed copy of the first and second book, it'll be a set.
Awesome.
Just say me. Dino can jot your name down, and we'll take it.
Don't cut out on me.
I actually put the books on order today, so I should have them probably within a week.
Oh, awesome, Edie. That's so cool. So anybody, even if you're re-listening to this, come to Paranormal Tonight, come to the chat here on the website, anywhere, put me, and you'll get a chance to, we'll figure it out and we'll get a book out. So,
what we'll do tonight, okay, before we leave, okay, we will give away one set. What I'll have you do is just jot down the names as they're in the chat, and you'll just number them. Okay. You'll tell me how many numbers there are. We'll pick a number, because I'm not in chat. I'm sitting here staring at your little Paranormal Into the Night logo, because when I go into that site, I can't. If I turn the sound down, then I lose my Skype sound, so I can't go in, so I can't see. So when I pick a number, it will be random who wins. Then anybody who wants to win one after the show will give away a second set.
Oh,
we can go to Paranormal Into the Night. So anybody who listens on the podcast from, let's say,
iTunes.
On iTunes for, let's say, the next 7 days. They can go into the Paranormal Into the Night, find the thread, say you want to enter, and then we'll draw another name in a week.
There you go.
So we'll give away 2 sets, but we will give one away live tonight. That way, people will be in there chatting and say, hey, I thought she was going to give away a book. So we want people to stay in there.
Exactly.
Tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, Edie. That's pretty cool. And yeah, they are also me, of course, Verna, Wendy.
Me.
There you go. And getting back to, there's a couple questions I wanted to ask here. I wanted to throw well, you know what? Wendy did ask a question, and I think you could probably answer this maybe kind of quickly. Then I'll remember what I had wanted to ask you. She said, so the Bigfoot isn't aggressive towards people. She said, I read stories how they break the legs of deer and other animals and eat them. People have come up missing in forest before. My fear is coming face to face with one. They might get really aggressive. This is interesting, she says. So, what do you think about that? Do you think they have anything to do with actually abducting people? Anything?
Okay, this is my personal opinion.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard about the missing 411 books and things like that. I actually don't think it has anything to do with Bigfoots, because most of these are happening in state and federal lands. I think it has maybe something to do with, I don't know, government, maybe serial killers, who knows. All I know is in my experiences with Bigfoots, the only time that I have read of aggression is when generally somebody is in the forest hunting and they're armed. And that's generally the only reason. Now, people have been chased. We've had something thrown at us, but they never hit us. When they have flanked us before, they never chased us, or if they had been chasing us, they never caught us. I've heard a lot of people tell stories of them bluff charging, where they will charge at you to scare you away. I really think that they're gentle creatures by nature. I don't even call them creatures. I think they're beings, because they are so extremely intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, they stay virtually hidden. In our experiences, you know, we have been intimidated. That's the word I want to use. Intimidated. Okay. If they don't want you in an area, they will make sure you know that you absolutely know you're not wanted there. And that had happened to us one night. We were back on a trail, and we kept hearing this really strange, this thud. And it almost like when you're closing the trunk of a car, that kind of thud, that airy kind of noise. We kept hearing that, but you could almost feel it in the ground. And so we're standing there on the trail going, gee, what's that? We've got our flashlights. We're shining them back there, not even thinking that, you know, we could be coming upon something that they didn't want us to see or hear. And about that time is when we heard a huge branch being ripped off a tree, just ripped. And then we heard it coming through the air, just woof, woof. You could hear it coming at us, and it landed maybe 25 feet away. Wow. But we knew under no uncertain terms did they want us there, and we left quickly. So personally, I don't think they're violent by nature, but then again, it's really going to depend on where they are. If they're used to being around people, if they're used to sharing their forest with people, I think their attitudes and everything is really going to vary by where they live.
But you think they're actually much more intelligent than I'm trying to put them, like, you know, what level are they on par with us? Are they more, or do they
more? They're by far more.
Okay.
If they were on par with us, we would easily be able to find them. We would easily be able to find where they live. We would easily have been able to tag them, study them, research them. But, you know, without a living creature to, you know, to be able to study, everything is, you know, this gray line.
Right.
You know, you've got your hardcore researchers, you've got your scientists, and you have, as some people put it, the woo-woos. The ones, you know, who talk about interdimensional travel and, you know, I saw a portal glowing in the forest and things like that. You know, so you've got from one extreme to another, and until there is an actual specimen that is brought in and they're able to study, we're not going to know. It's all research, and everybody does it a different way. I like the gentler approach. I'm not the person that goes out and feeds all the forest creatures, because I make sure that my containers are closed, that they're heavy duty, that the lids snap on. I mean, I have a difficult time getting them open to put food in.
Right.
So, you know, that I try to be as responsible as I can. I clean up after them. It's just, you know, and I completely understand where she's coming from. I feared I feared them.
Right.
They're huge.
And they're still intimidating. I mean, it's just the manner of the creature. So. Yeah, the creature. I mean, it's just.
But I mean, for them to be able to stay hidden from us, to stay hidden from scientists in general, as far as we know.
Right. Right.
Know, we have no idea. I mean, the government.
There could be a government research facility somewhere where they're actually, you know.
Exactly. Who knows?
Taking care
they could have a whole family of them running around.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think you're also. I think you said you were also open to the the fact that it could be interdimensional. I mean, we really don't know 100%. I mean,
no.
There's a reason why they're so elusive. I mean, you can be smart, the smartest person alive, but, you know, one little slip up. So, I mean, there is a line there where you're like, you know, why?
But I try to look at it logically.
Mm-hmm.
A human being uses how much of the percent of our brains?
Right, very small
how
percent.
Much? 10%. My daughter just said 10%.
Oh.
So if a creature, say, uses 50%, 75%, 90% of their brain, how much more could they do? Could they move faster? Could they cloak? Could they blend in? Could they talk back and forth with their minds? You know, communicate. Yeah. You know, could they use telekinesis? There are so many things that we don't know.
So many what
about
ifs.
A brain. Yeah. So I try to look at it in a scientific sort of way. We have had things happen we can't explain, but this isn't something I like to go online and make videos about and, you know, rant and carry on and stuff, because no, I don't want people to think I'm crazy. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I do want people to know that there are odd things that happen. We've seen bursts of light in the middle of the forest, and the only way I can describe it is like somebody just walked up to us and just flashed a camera in our face, just in the middle of the forest.
Just an energy burst.
Yeah, and we couldn't explain it, and it's something still to this day we can't explain.
And during that time, was there activity going on during that time that happened?
Yes. Actually, that was the same night that we heard the thud. Thud. Hmm. Yeah, the flash happened earlier in the evening. We were just sitting on the trail. You know, like I said, I don't like to take an invasive approach. I would rather just go out there, sit and listen. Right. And that's why a lot of researchers say they're amazed because they will come to me instead of me going to them. Well, I give them things, you know. Mm-hmm. They like animal crackers, you know. I give them a bag of animal crackers every so often. Yeah. And they love that organic milk. Shelf-stable, totally organic. Don't be mad at me, people. I try to give them, you know, good organic things.
Oh, please, Edie. I hear you say that all the...
I do give them treats.
I hear you say that all the time. There's nothing wrong with giving them a treat every now and then.
Oh, no,
you're not going to give them. You're not going to give them diabetes and make them overweight.
No.
For the most part, they're eating their own stuff. So you know, people who are saying stuff like that is just crazy.
They have shown distaste for some things I've left. They do not like citrus.
I don't either. So
I give them oranges. I find them halfway across the forest, untouched. I left a mango out there once. Mm-hmm. They were so disgusted by it, it was busted all over the place. So, yeah, they're very particular, and they will let you know if they don't like something. So, you know, we've experimented, and, you know, nowadays it's so much easier to find things that are more organic with less preservatives or no preservatives. But to find that Horizon shelf-stable milk with, you know, it was so cool. I was like, oh my God, I could give them milk. You know, we all start our lives with milk.
Yes.
So why would they not like milk? And boy, that is like one of their favorite things.
And what do you put the milk into to give to them?
Oh, it comes in, you know, they're like juice boxes.
Okay, so will they actually open it, drink it, or will they squeeze it? And
They bite a hole in the top. They used to just kind of rip a corner off, mm-hmm. and they squeeze this box. They squeeze it until it turns into like almost soft leather. They squeeze it so many times, and it's always crushed in the middle.
You're getting every drop of milk out.
Yeah, I showed them how to put the straw in. But they don't. They pull the straw off. They throw it on the ground. They bite a hole. Now they're starting to bite a hole in the actual what would you call it? Like the little foil part that you pop through. That's where they bite the hole now. Is they bite the hole through that, and they squeeze it until all the milk's gone. And sometimes they will rip it in half and lick it clean on the inside.
It's funny that you talk about, how more intelligent they are and stuff, but yet they do some things that are kind of like ape-like and still very primitive, like, but that's just the nature of the beast, I guess. You can be smart, but if you're a big husky creature, you're going to just...
They live in the forest.
Exactly. That's their way of living.
So they don't need utensils
or
anything like that. So, yeah. But I think as far as their intelligence goes, in my first book, I have a chapter called The Architects, because I look at some of the things that they build, and they're very intricate.
Mm-hmm.
And
I remember seeing plenty of pictures. If what website is that on again? That you've put a lot of these pictures on?
It's on my personal.
Okay, it is. Okay.
On my personal page, yeah.
Okay.
But both books have pictures.
Okay.
I always try to include the pictures in, simply because they're interesting.
Sure.
People like to see them. People really like to see the pictures, but when they build things, like if they build what I like to call, they're almost like what a hunting blind would be to us, but on steroids. Huge, huge, huge. They will bend saplings, trees. This is the time of year that they build, because the trees are dormant. They will bend these trees in. They will weave them in with broken trees that they bring in. They'll weave them in and everything. And come spring, you'll see this structure start to come to life, and it grows, and you see all of the things that they had intertwined in there are turning green, and all of a sudden it just completely disappears, and it camouflages in with the canopy. That takes a lot of intelligence, and we're not talking something that a human would build. I'm talking something that's 50 to 75 feet tall.
Wow. Huh.
Yes. Yeah, because a lot of people go, well, how do you know that it's not a hunter that did this? Well, if it's a hunter, it's the Jolly Green Giant.
Well, and let me ask you this: what are these structures actually used for?
To hide.
Okay.
I think to ambush.
Ambush
deer and whatnot.
After all of this time, where do you? I get that part of it. Probably you're right. Where do you think they actually live? Do you think it's caves? Do you think it's a dwelling deeper in the forest? What do you think? Your best guess.
Here in Indiana, we have, of course, Indiana is where you've heard the term Bedford stone.
Mm-hmm.
Bedford stone comes from Bedford, Indiana.
Right.
Southern Indiana is so full of limestone. It's unbelievable. And we have one of the largest underground rivers in the world here in Indiana, and it is because of the way the limestone is underground. Mm. And you can literally take a boat and go through these caverns. So if we know of these many, how many are there that we don't know
exactly
exist? So that's where I think they could be underground, especially here in Indiana with the limestone, the caverns, the caves, and things like that. That's what I think.
You know what? I think
it's going to vary. I think it's going to vary from location to location.
Okay, because I actually think that's what I've thought for quite a long time now. I believe in kind of the hollow earth theory. Not that the middle of the earth is kind of totally hollowed out, but that there's a world underneath this ground that is just thriving with life, and just we can't find a lot of the entrance. A lot of them we can, but they go so deep and are hidden.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite possible that the Bigfoot actually live down in under the earth, and we can't find these entrances to their homes. So,
well, and I look at it this way. There are, undiscovered caves, and the ones that we have discovered. How many more are out there that we haven't?
Oh, exactly.
So, that's the way I look at it. Unless somebody is willing to literally walk every square inch of the planet, there's no way we're going to find everything. I really do think the earth
Mm-hmm.
The universe still holds so many secrets. I don't think we're meant
yes.
to know
Mm-hmm.
everything.
No, not at all. And I think for some reason, don't ask me who's, people can go aliens, government, whatever. We could sorry, I saw that. But anyways,
I was sticking my tongue out at my daughter. She left the room and come back in with her charger. See, he can see me, but I can't see him.
Sorry, I didn't put the video on.
And so
anyways.
He saw me. When she walked back into the room, I stuck my tongue out at her. And
Michaela, we'll be talking about you in a few minutes here.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about you in a few minutes.
But where was I getting to? My mind is going.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to distract you there. I'm getting that you can see me and I can't see you. That's kind of creepy.
That's all right. No, I was talking about. That's what I was going to say. Sorry, guys. Every now and then the mind just sways away a little bit and then it comes back.
Called age.
Yeah, exactly. But why we can't. There's a big reason why we don't find a lot of these places on the earth, like the holes, the underground, whatever mysterious is going on, because we're busy. The government, the world, whoever, we as people, as a civilization, are busy every day of our life, waking up, making breakfast, going to work, getting so tired you come home from work and you go to sleep. Not too many. There's people out there who are looking and really going after, like you, but for the most part, 99% of the people on this planet are doing what they got to do to survive and have no care in the world for any of this mysterious stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
So
and me, I'm not out there to be, the next big thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not out there. I'm not, I did do a few videos and put them up, and then I decided not to do it anymore. I felt like I was kind of betraying them, and they have drained batteries when I tried to record and things like that. And,
I know. I think I was trying to push you there for a while to.
And I did make a few, and then it just got kind of difficult because they would, shut my camera down and things like that. And I thought, well, this is, this isn't what I came out here to do. I love sharing my stories with people. I do.
Right.
I'm just not going to be that next big thing on TV. That's not my goal. I never even intended to write a book until, I've always wanted to write a book, but the last thing I thought I would be writing is nonfiction. And, but there's such a fascinating subject, and it's just kind of a personal thing with me because I find them so fascinating in the way that they live in family units like we do. They have elders. Obviously, my daughter saw an elder, which has been seen before. There have been other reports of the gray one that has been seen in the forest. That's the one that Michaela saw.
Mm-hmm. The lucky one.
So they have the elder. We know of two very, very large males who have been seen. We know there's at least one juvenile. We know there's at least one toddler. And so obviously there has to be a female if there's a baby.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And I'm beginning to think that there is a baby because I have heard some really strange noises out there that sounded, I couldn't place it. Am I listening to a deer dying? Is there a baby deer trapped? It was just a very odd noise, and it was very much like a human infant. It was like when a baby cries, that wah, wah, wah. So it was a continual. So I know whatever it was a baby, a small creature. Yeah. I can't say it's a Bigfoot, but there was a limb that was added to the asterisk that the big one that they had near my first gifting site. There was a new one added, and some theorize that that's how they show how many people are in their clan. Really? Wow. So I did notice that, but again, that's just theory.
Right. Well, you put two and two together, whatever. But
when
did this happen? How long ago did you hear these noises?
This was it was this spring.
Okay.
And
Because what was the latest activity that's happened? Anything recently, or was
really nothing recent. The most recent thing that happened is in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
It's very common for them not to take from me, and that's the thing about the Sasquatch is they never take more than they need. Now, if you're feeding wild animals, the food's going to disappear every single time you put it out.
Right.
I have had the same food out there now for 4 weeks. And the first time I went back, I checked, nothing had been taken. The second time I went back, I thought nothing had been taken. But I looked down and I saw a bag from a loaf of cinnamon bread.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wait a minute. That was, and then I looked, and of course, one of the rocks had been moved, but 2 of them had been put back. And so I opened it up, and 2 cartons of milk, and the bread had been taken. The bread was opened the way they always open plastic. They kind of stick their fingers in and just pull and stretch it to open it.
Okay.
There's never claw marks. There's never tooth holes. It's just they poke a hole and they pull.
Huh.
And it had been opened. The bread was gone. There were 2 milk cartons missing, and I found one of the milk cartons about 50 yards away, along with one of the balls that I had left for them to play with. I found those in the same area. So they do take things. They will put the lid back on. And so unless I go every single time and open the lid and take inventory, I never know, what they're going to take.
Yeah. So not too much activity lately.
No, because it is fall. It's harvest season. Indiana, all the corn being harvested. The apple groves are plentiful right now. And there are a couple of orchards that actually attach to the forest.
So have you been
apple orchards?
So have you been doing this long enough to know that this is just a time where they're going to be away a little while and they'll end up coming back?
Yeah, they're around. They're very much around.
Okay, so they are definitely always.
They don't take my food. They don't need it.
Okay.
The food is plentiful. Their nuts are falling off the trees.
Right.
The food is plentiful, and that's just the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to take it unless it's something that they need or want at the moment. They're extremely intelligent, and they pick and choose, and they're not stingy. They're not like gimme, 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 and take it all. They're just it. That's why I do this, because I learn more about them by their habits. They fascinate me. We have conversations, whether they don't speak to me, but sometimes I just know that they want a new jar of peanut butter, or I will ask them something and I'll come back the next week and they'll do it.
Yeah.
Or if I have doubts and I verbally put those doubts out there, or even mentally, they will do something that will prove to me. One of the cases I wrote about in the book is when we first moved the gifting site, one of the milk containers had been taken down and it was ripped to shreds. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This isn't typical of a Bigfoot. They don't, tear things up like that. And I'm thinking, great. Somehow, some way, the little animals have gotten into this, and that's who's taking the food. And I was really upset, and I'm like, I was having all these doubts, and I was really frustrated. And so we left, and when we come back the following week, there was another milk carton, again, the same exact spot, ripped into 100 pieces, and in the very center of it was a light. And I use non-chemical glow sticks out there, because they like lights. They like things that light up. They like balls and things like that. But and I picked this up thinking that it was the blue one that had just recently been taken just a few weeks prior. And I picked it up and I turned it around to look for the whistle, because the ones that I use now they're like a light stick with a whistle on the end. And I use the whistle as a signal. I've been here. I'm leaving. I'll blow the whistle 3 times and leave. So I picked it up and wait a minute. There's no whistle. I'm like, oh my God. This light was the same light that had been taken from the other gifting site. It was about 6 months prior.
Oh, wow. And returned it. Wow.
And
very cool.
They returned it. It was sitting right there. And I had been there the week before where another carton had been torn open. That light was nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, see, and that's the amazing thing about all of this, is how stuff like that, like things show up like months later, and I mean, come on.
It's confirmation, and
exactly.
It's how they communicate with me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people talk about mind speak, which I thought was what they call the woo-woos, what the crazy ones think. But having a daughter who's a medium, a daughter who's seen ghosts since she was a baby,
mm-hmm.
Being able to communicate telepathically isn't a huge stretch for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was the first time it happened. It's not happened to me. It's not happened to me, and I will be honest about that. But my daughter, and this is in the second book,
mm-hmm.
We were out at the site one day.
Yes.
It was before we had moved it.
Yep.
And my husband had gone out. I told him, go ahead, look for any trash that's out there. And, let me know what you find. And he started following this trail, and it was like they literally left a trail of packaging. And he came to this opening where the trail ended, and there was a deer antler, the beautiful, beautiful deer antler laying right in the middle. And he
mm-hmm.
come bringing it back, and my daughter started laughing. And she's like, they heard me. And I'm like, what? She goes, they heard me. And I'm like, wait a minute. She goes, no, seriously. She said, when we were here last week, she said, I was thinking in my head, wouldn't it be cool if they left Mom something really neat, like a deer antler?
Wow.
And I looked at her, I said,
unbelievable.
Yeah, I looked at her, I said, you're kidding. And she goes, no, I'm serious. And she said that she just thought it in her head, and
well, there
happened.
You go.
So
I mean,
I think there might be something to
the mind speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. Though, like I said, it's not personally happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of seen it, and so
well,
it's something that I'm not ruling out.
And again, I mean, this leads to what we're going to talk about now. But we're going to talk about Michaela here. I do want to get into this because you've had some stuff happen today that I'd like to hear about and
it's been a very emotional day.
Yeah, I bet, and that's what. So everybody, we're going to switch topics here. But Edie Caito, go to Amazon.com. Any link you see under here, search her name. Get the books, man. They're great reads. I'm in the book a little bit, so it makes it even better. But no, great stories. And you know what? She's going to continue this. I know there's going to be more Bigfoot books out here. Give it maybe a year, maybe 2 years, whatever. But
yeah, I thought about doing one on habituation.
Okay, that's right. Yeah,
because there's not a lot of people who practice it, and a lot of people who do. I don't agree with the way they do it.
Okay.
I just like to see things sealed. That way, you're not feeding the wildlife. And it does, because what else is going to be able to get into a sealed container other than a Bigfoot or a human? So, you got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think you should do that. That might not be that bad of a book to get together really, a couple months, something like that, whatever. But read just if somebody wants to know the softer side. Exactly.
If they want to try it.
And, in the proper way of doing it. I think the way you're doing it and how everything's sealed and the way you've got a way to this that you're doing it properly, whereas, you're not I'm not going to put anybody down, but, the hippie way, free love, throw it out there, just put it. Well, you know what? Animals are going to come up with it. You need some proof. You need some way of finding out exactly how, this is going on. Read McFatridge. just jumped into chat and said, "Hi, Edie, it's Reed. I look forward to the book and seeing you soon again."
Oh, hi, Reed. Yeah, he was with us in Helping Hand Paranormal Investigations.
Okay, well, hey, Reed.
He was with us for a while, and we all kind of, went our separate ways. He had his reasons for getting out of it, and of course, we've had our reasons.
Okay, cool.
Because of Michaela.
Mm-hmm.
But Michaela is working toward doing what she was destined to do with her gifts, and it has nothing to do with ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm.
We put her in precarious positions, and we put her in harm's way, and it didn't turn out good. Things are great now, and she's on the right path. And they say she's using her gifts for good.
No, good.
Evil, so.
Yeah, no, I hear you, and yeah, because I know you were in paranormal investigative group and all that, and like you said, let's switch topics here and let's talk a little bit about Michaela, because she has had a gift probably since the time she was born. I mean, when she was a young child. I mean, I'm sure this all came out, and she's learned to deal with this most of her life, and all of you guys as a family. And I think it's all starting to, from what I'm hearing from you, is starting to culminate into a gift now. And she's learning to use it, like you said, for good. And tell me a little bit about what has come full circle here with her. Okay.
Well, for those who don't know, Michaela started showing signs of this gift very, very early in infancy. She would look, directly over my shoulder and laugh. You could tell she was seeing someone, and it was quite strange, for a child her age. As soon as she could talk, she started talking to the wall and telling us it was Grandma. Taking toys over and showing them to Grandma and things. And she was able to describe a woman who had died 17 years before her birth. Someone we didn't have any photographs of. She had seen angels. She spoke of an angel named David who was around her when she was very, very small. And as she got into her early teens is when things started kind of going a little haywire, because this place was like Grand Central Station. There were constantly spirits in and out. They were, we would find her sleeping on the couch in the middle of the night because there was one walking through her room that wouldn't leave her alone. And I had to tell her, now it's time to decide if this is something you want to do or if this is something you want to just block out, to kind of renounce. And she thought about it, and she said that I want to keep this. I just want to learn what to do with it. And so she had to learn to put down rules and boundaries, and no, you can't come into my room in the middle of the night. When I'm done for the night, I'm done for the night, and things like that. So now she's 18. It has come full circle. She's now to the point now when she gets around somebody that she's supposed to get a message to, she starts getting flashes, these visions, and she's learning now to jot these down to try to figure out what they mean, the signs, the symbols, and everything. Most recently, a friend of hers had picked up a stone pendulum at a metaphysical store. She thought it was the coolest thing ever. She went and she was looking through and she was picking them up, and she picked up one that's made of the how do you pronounce that? Black tourmaline. But she picked it up in her hand, and she felt a shot of energy that just went from the palm of her hand up her arm, and that had only happened one other time. And that was when the mountain gypsies had given her feathers for her to use if she does cleansing. And they were handing her different feathers, and until they handed her these certain ones, and they shot this energy up her arm, and she's like, wow. And they said, okay, those are the ones that are for you. So the same thing happened with the pendulum, and she started, looking into it and what it did. So she started talking to her spirit guides, and she learned that one of her spirit guides, surprisingly, was a young man that she's known since first grade who was tragically killed in an accident 4 years ago. It really, really devastated her when he died. They had since moved away from the school district, but they had kept in touch on Facebook off and on. And he died in it's one of those, like those little Polaris 4-wheel drive little buggy thingies.
Yeah.
And it was pretty horrific. And he passed away, but she's sitting here using the pendulum, and come to find out, she's seen him around the house. She's seen him many times, and in this beautiful glow of white light, which she sees as those that are guardians. Because the dead appear to her in 3 different ways now. The dark ones are the ones who have yet to cross over. They kind of show themselves as a shadow figure.
Okay.
And those who have crossed over, who are just kind of here, hanging around, look just like you and I do to her. They look normal to her. And the third are the ones that are the guardians, and they glow. They're not transparent or translucent. They look normal, but they have this beautiful glow all around them. And then this is what the young man has appeared to her since his death, as this beautiful glow. And by the way, his name is Tyler. And I'm going to say that because he decided for the first time that he wanted to communicate with me last night.
Really?
And so she brought the pendulum in, and she uses a pendulum. It's an alphabet, like a wheel, and they're able to spell things out.
Okay.
And from the beginning,
does she use a spirit board type thing?
No, it's not like a spirit board. It's just literally a little graph that's got the alphabet on it. So then that way the pendulum, if they want to spell a word out, they can using the pendulum. But they've had a lot of conversations. He didn't know his mom had divorced. He was still, after 4 years, a little confused, but he knew that this was his job, was to be with her. And he was being basically trained by her other spirit guide, who is a Native American woman, which doesn't surprise me because she is Native American. I'm half Native American. My mother's full-blooded. And so I guess she's been training him. So they've talked about his mom a lot. She's brought up his mom's Facebook page so he could look. And
wow, so the interaction is that close that he's wow. That's so interesting.
So last night Michaela had come into my room. It was more in the middle of the night, and we were having a talk, and all of a sudden she's like, okay, they want me to get the pendulum, because I noticed, she said, that they had come into the room with her. And so she went and got the pendulum, and she come back, and Tyler wanted to speak to me. And I didn't know why. So, I started jotting things down, and to make a long story short, it was time. He was ready for us to contact his mother. And
okay.
And this was a very, very touchy subject. Like I said, his accident was a parent's nightmare. Right. I'm not going to go into details. She went into details with me today.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I can't get the image out of my head.
Oh boy. So he actually said he wanted to approach her and contact.
Well, he did die of massive blunt force trauma to the head.
Okay.
But so
but he chose to be a guardian angel for Michaela, though, right? This was his choice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This was, as he puts it, his job.
Okay.
This is his job. is to be her spirit guide and her guardian. So, this was a very touchy subject. So I sent her a friend request last night, and she immediately accepted this morning. And it was really difficult for me to put it into words. And actually, the first message I wrote her, I hit send. It was really funny because I hit send, and those red letters come up that said, "You're not connected to the internet." And I'm like, "What?" And I look down, my computer's not connected. I pick up my phone, it's connected.
Yeah.
My son's computer's connected.
Yep. You better be
to my system, and come to find out that.
Don't cut out on me now, Edie. Tyler, you bet. If you're around, let her continue the story. Edie, I appreciate you so much sharing this with me. I know that today you guys have had a very emotional day, you and Michaela, with all of this going on. So you even sharing this with me means a lot. So Tyler, if you're there too, it means a lot to me.
Oh, I'm sure Tyler's here.
Yeah.
He is. Yeah. Michaela's shaking because it's cutting in and out. Oh, he wanted you to go back in your room? Okay. So is he okay with me talking about this? Okay. So he's cool with it. But,
okay, good.
But I did, the first message didn't go, and so I had to go in and enable my my Wi-Fi, my LAN again. I don't know how it got disabled. I didn't push any buttons.
Yeah.
I was just typing. So I enabled it. I went back to send it, and it was gone. So I rewrote it, and I sent the second one, and it was a little bit more brief. And this one went through, and I'm sitting here going, okay, this woman's either going to think I'm a fruitcake, she's going to think we're trying to rip her off, or she's going to be receptive. I got a message back in under 5 minutes saying, "Oh my God, Edie, you have no idea how long I have been trying to get in touch with my son. I've tried everything." Wow. And she is a woman who's been desperate for any kind of sign from her son. She has gone to many psychics, many mediums, and, they have told her that he's fine. And, he gave me messages last night to tell her that I'm okay. And he gave us names that only she knew who they were.
Wow.
And so we did meet with her today, and we got to talk with her, and it was very emotional. There were some tears shed. We bought tissues. He wanted me. I just got the picture of a rose in my head while I was getting the tissues, and I was like, they don't have flowers at Walgreens. And sure enough, there were fresh flowers up front, and there were roses. So I picked up the rose, and that meant something to her. And there was a particular candy bar I picked up that meant something to her as well. And so I just kind of went with the flow, the little pictures that popped up in my head. And so we were able to sit down and have a really nice long talk with her. And Tyler did want to speak. And Michaela got out the pendulum and the board, and he did spell out, "Hello, Mom," and "Love you."
Was she? She was there. She was there at the house. She was there at the house.
No, we met her at a little coffee shop that's near here that they used to go to when they lived here in Greenwood.
Okay, but this was in person. She saw everything going on.
Yes, this was in person. Yes, this was in person. And he literally spelled out, "Hello, Mom," which he always, with us it's always hi. And it was "Hello, Mom," and he did say "Love you." He did say "Miss you always." And she asked him a question. When you were a little boy, there was something of mine you always played with. What was that?
Huh.
And he spelled out "hair." And she cried.
Wow.
Because he always used to sit, and when he would talk to her, he would
play with her
kind
hair.
of wrap that. Michaela was not, trying to pull over on her or anything like that. And she was able to learn why it's not as easy to contact him as she wanted it to be. But I think it immediately clicked with her when Michaela told her that she had seen him as glowing as the guardian, that he glowed because she had a dream 3 months after he passed away. He was sitting on her bed and he was glowing. And she said that right there, she knew immediately that Michaela was, telling her the truth.
Yeah. Wow.
So it was an amazing day. It really was an amazing day. Michaela is exhausted. These kind of things do take a lot out of her, but she left there very upbeat, fulfilled, because this is what she wants to do. That the gypsies told her that she needs to heal, be the person to heal, and
it's funny, Edie.
That is what
it's funny, Edie, how we're getting broken up here so much at this time. This at least 4 or 5 times here, really quick. Now that we're talking about Tyler, that's very, very interesting. But Michaela, man, I pass it on to your daughter. I think it's just the most unbelievable thing that she's doing, and to embrace it like that and to help people out. Man, I can't even express in the words, and I'm sure she feels it after what she went through today. I mean,
yeah.
How can you not feel what you're doing means something? So,
yeah, and that's what she wants to do. She wants to be able to learn, and her spirit guides did tell her that eventually she won't need the pendulum, that, she will understand how to communicate with them, and she'll be able to help people more. But she does do tarot readings. She has a couple of different decks. She does those. She is going to start offering pendulum readings and things of that nature to kind of start her own little business, but it's not going to be the kind that you see with some mediums. She's going to put limits on people. She's not going to allow people to come over and over and over, like every single week, because she doesn't want to take advantage of people in those types of situations.
Well, that's the thing.
That's something that's something we're going to be working on here really soon.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you said, yes, Michaela, do it 100%. That's what you're meant to do. Help people, go full force, don't care what other people say. And on the other hand, yes, you have to live your life and you have to make a living, but to do it the right way, like you're saying, 100%, I agree with you totally. There's so many people out there who are taking advantage of people, and you got to kind of sift through who's doing good and who's not doing so good. So, and it shows like this, that if you hear what's going on and the story behind the person helps out. So,
Yeah, it does.
So when she does get all that up and going, you definitely let me know. It'll be all posted in my groups, that's for sure. Because this is I think she's not out to be the next Teresa Caputo or anything like that, but she knows that she was given this gift for a reason, and she wants to use it to help people, and if she can just reassure one person, right,
that it makes it worthwhile for her. And I think all the angst and everything she's gone through up until what happened today,
wow,
I think it's all been worth it today. I think it all really accumulated and was worth it to her today. Just to see this mother, it just, I can't describe, I just can't describe
I know
how it felt.
Emotional and one, the thing that
because I couldn't imagine losing a child. I couldn't. And in the manner of his death was horrible.
What gets me too, and I'm not going over that so lightly, because that's terrible, and but the thing that gets me with that story too is that immediately after his death, you said about 2-3 months, whatever, but relatively soon after, she saw him as a glowing light being, her guardian angel.
It was roughly 3 weeks after his death.
Okay, so that tells me, you know, he had no choice in the matter. He was destined to be her guardian angel no matter what. And I think he was even confused at the beginning. So, you know, here's where I'm not confused, but it's just one of those things that I guess you won't have answered until you pass on. It's like, why was he chosen to,
exactly.
you know?
She has asked them.
Mm-hmm.
She has even asked them. And Tyler always tells her, and he does like to say, maybe, I don't know. And I don't know, maybe. Of course, you know, he was 14 years old when he passed away. And he still is, he can be, as she puts it, a turd sometimes. And he doesn't understand. And so she talks to Nika, who is her other spirit guide.
Mm-hmm.
Nika says, it's something we can't share right now. So it is something that Tyler is learning, something that isn't yet for Michaela to know. There is a reason that the two of them were put together. Tyler doesn't know why. Michaela doesn't know why. Nika doesn't even know why. But it was, as they put it, Nika told her it was destined. It was written long ago. So this is just the way it is. And
amazing.
And the thing is that Tyler has a twin brother.
Okay.
And his name's Josh.
Wow.
Josh and Tyler were around. Yeah, they went.
Sorry, I'm
together.
saying wow a lot. It's just I'm just amazed by the story. That's all. It's just amazing.
And what we didn't know, and we had learned today, is Josh was following his brother on a moped and saw the accident, and his mother was called by Josh to the scene. And then, of course, she describes what she came upon. And I don't know if she's told many people that story or not, but as a mother, I was horrified, and I will carry that with me for a long time, what she told me, but I'm glad she was able to maybe let this burden go and let me have.
Yeah, you guys opening up like that really helped her, I bet, a lot.
I hope. I hope.
I'm
but
sure.
To see when he spelled out "Hello, Mom,"
yes,
and when he spelled out
"Here,"
"Love you," that was amazing. I was sitting there. I was just so in awe of Michaela because she has to be, she has to be so focused and concentrating. She's sitting on the floor of a coffee shop with her hands, propped up against the coffee table. And she kind of she doesn't hold the pendulum in her fingers. She drapes it over and kind of builds this little, like, scaffolding with her fingers and just holds them steady.
Okay.
And it's just kind of odd the way she has to hold it. And she just, for, I know, a good hour or more in that position. And it really took a lot out of her, but it was so worth it.
Oh, my. Yeah, Yeah, stay on the path, Michaela. It's awesome, man. Doing good like this and touching people is no better feeling. You know what? There's somebody in the chat, too, and I've been talking to her for a while. She's kind of a medium herself, and she said basically, her name's Wendy Lucero, and maybe I'll shoot you her name, Edie, but if Michaela ever wants to talk to her about this kind of stuff too, she'd be willing to talk to her because she's had a lot of experience. Like she just posted right now, she says mediums have guardians and spirit guides that interchange throughout their lives. Tyler may stay for a while, but he may leave when she learns what he's there to teach her. No matter what, it's what needs to happen right now. Love it. So she's very deep. I've been talking to her for a while, and I did a show with her too. So
thank you for saying that,
yes.
and I'm sure Michaela will appreciate that very much.
Mm-hmm.
Her just being 18,
right?
coming into this, she has gradually come into it her entire life, and it's really starting to come to
That's
force.
right.
So for her to say that, I thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. And she finally just got up and went to bed. This session today was exhausting, but I will pass what Wendy said along to Michaela about
and
I'll guides coming and going.
Yeah, I'll shoot you her name too. She is a professional working medium, and she does teach psychic development. That's what we talked about with on the show. I remember now. So, but anyways, thanks, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy. Yes, very much.
Yeah. So we're coming up to the end of the show. Man, 2 hours went by really fast, and yeah. So
did you write down some names?
Yeah, I got all the names written down. So there's.
Do you have them numbered?
Yes, I do. I got. Yes,
okay, so tell me a number.
You want me to tell you a number?
No, just say.
Oh, how many? Okay.
Yeah, how many?
Okay, well, there's the ones I got here. There's 8.
There's 8.
Yes.
Okay.
And I've got a number by each one of them.
I almost started to say eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Good Lord. It's like PTSD whenever I hear that now. The number 3 just keeps coming into my head. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
Well, that is Verna. And if she's still in chat. Are you still in chat, Verna? Buyer? She's here every week. She listens to every one of my shows. As well as everybody else. Kathy, you too, everybody. But that was her number. She was
Kathy, 3. Kathy is the one that actually introduced us.
Yes, she was.
And Kathy's name is actually in the dedication.
Yes, she is too. Kathy Fisher. And she is, oh my God, she is one of the people who started the very beginning with me, and she's been there ever since. And she is always my go-to, always my person to chat with. I love Kathy to death. She's a great person. Even though I do too. Even though her Chicago Cubs beat my Cleveland Indians, but you know what? All love to it. Yeah, I love it. It's good. It's good. So.
But hey.
Okay, Verna said, "Oh my God, I felt that I would win." Okay, cool, Verna, awesome. You won 2 signed books by Edie, so that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah, so go ahead and message. I don't know, we might be friends on Facebook. If we are, message me your mailing address. If not, message it to Dino, and he will forward it to me. As soon as the books come in, I'll contact you about, how you want them inscribed, and then I'll get the set mailed off to you.
Cool. So, Verna, I'm sure you heard that, Verna. If you're not friends with Edie, maybe friend her, or shoot me.
I have made a lot of fantastic friends through your show. People who have stood by me. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of you supported me through my cancer surgery and my recovery. Yes. I still have that sweet little pillow.
Yes.
that Kathy, you guys sent me.
Nisa, yes.
That I cuddle with, and so I have met a lot of tremendously amazing people through this show, and
thank you.
A lot of people, are quote unquote fans, but they, still have friended me on Facebook, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's funny how it's funny how I started this group. So it seems like so long ago, but the people that actually have stayed true and are here, and even you, part of the group. I think we drug you in here when Kathy said you got to talk to Edie, and I drug you in here, and you became part of the group, and you stuck around, and we all care very much. I think the people, like you said, we have big hearts, and we care about one another in the group. If anything else, I think that's a big part of what Paranormal Tonight is. So.
Yeah, and there's not enough of that in the world. There's too many people that are in each other's business and, arguing about things they shouldn't be arguing about. And it's like, you know what, people, chill, sit back, live life, enjoy life. Because you never know how long we've got on this planet. You just have never have any idea.
And everything you've gone through, and coming from you, yes. You never know, pain, everything else that we have to deal with in life, and we get through it, so, and we learn.
Yeah, we've got to.
Yeah, and we learn to pull in that love, and hopefully that overtakes us and makes us better. So, yeah. 2 hours have flown by, and, now that...
I was going to ask one other thing.
Uh-huh.
Do you still have that? Do you still have that recording that I sent you?
Oh,
I think...
Shoot, you know what?
I think that would be a...
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't have it with me. I'm kind of pissed. I think it was in the message, wasn't it? You're talking about the Bigfoot, right?
Yeah, the Bigfoot call.
Okay.
Yeah. I just thought that would be a really cool thing to share with people before we went off the air, because kind of ending on a high note and really get people...
Yeah.
Any of the doubters. I mean, the recording was taken just a few weeks ago. It was during the IBRO campout.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of our fellow researchers. His name's Jim, and they were out and they started having rocks thrown at them and whatnot, and then they got this incredible recording of three screams.
Yes.
And at the end of one of the screams, you can actually hear the Bigfoot speak.
Yes, and you know what? I'm going to play it, Edie, okay? So, here I go.
Just let me know when, okay.
Okay, I am going to play it, so here we go. Hopefully you were able to hear that okay. Did that sound good?
I heard it really well. And the second scream, you can hear very clearly.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear the Bigfoot speak at the end of the scream. And I don't know if the people in chat heard it. If they didn't, I mean, maybe you could play it again because it isn't very long.
Yeah, I'll play it one more time.
Okay.
Yeah, here I go. I'm going to play that
so everybody listen really close at the end of the second scream.
Yes. Here we go. Wow. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So a big shout out to Jim Weiser for allowing me to share that with you. We get a lot of recordings, but for one to be so close, because you hear him actually say, "What the doggone," because it's so close to them. And the more I listened to it, I was able to hear that speech at the end of the second scream, because that is exactly the kind of speech that we heard, that 26-second clip that we have of the same exact, it's just speech. So I was able to hear that, and I was so glad that he let me share that with you guys. And like I said, that was just taken a couple of weekends ago at the IBR campout. It was in Yellowwood State Forest.
Wow. Yeah, that when you sent that to me and I played it, I'm like going, holy Moses. I mean, there you go. That's almost as good as you're going to get. Thank him very much for letting me share that.
There's some great people that we research with in the IBRO, and our little family is getting bigger and bigger. There are a lot more people in Indiana who are, jumping on the Bigfoot wagon with us, that are learning to research and are really excited about it. And I love being a part of the group. Even though I do research independently, they're a really great bunch of people.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Cool. And you know what Verna's saying? She's not able to friend you. I don't know why, but I will figure it out, Verna. I'll get you hooked up here. Anyways, oh, Edie. Well, there we go. I guess this won't be the end, like I said. I'm just, taking a little bit of a break here.
Yeah, you get that book done. You get that book done, and you get yours done, and I will get to work on Orion Rising. That is going to be a fantastic book. For those of you who have heard the show, when I first talked to Dino, the first interview was about the Walter story.
Yes.
Reed was the gentleman that you saw in the chat earlier. Reed, he was a big part of that. He was the one that actually discovered that this spirit had attached to me. He was the one that actually did the removal. And from then is when the story just blew up. And we found out that we were dealing with a spirit of a man who had been kidnapped and murdered. And he just happened to be a very well-known scientist from Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And so
it's an amazing story.
It's going to be a really cool book. I actually have a couple of filmmakers who are interested in the story, and it's something that we really want to share because this is something that I think Walter has wanted. He has been my guardian since this has happened, and he's been with me since then. He has since crossed over, and he started glowing, as Michaela puts it. Yeah. So he's around me, and this is something I promised him I would do, is to tell his story. Because as a scientist and an atheist, he never believed that there was an afterlife. And after his murder, and he was watching everything, he just desperately was reaching out for somebody to hear him and say, hey, there is an afterlife. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to be the one that he reached out to. And as a paranormal group, myself, my husband, Michaela, and Reed went through a tremendous journey. And so it's going to be a lot of fun writing the book, and I'm going to be really excited to get that done.
Yes, and I'll tell you, I mean, the Bigfoot stuff is awesome, but that Walter story is just unbelievable, for sure. So I cannot wait for that to come out. So anyways, I guess I will let you go, Edie. And
all right.
I'm sure I will talk to you down the road here soon again, eventually.
Of course.
Yeah. So, but thank you for doing this show with me. And I guess on to the next show for you, hey? Got to get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be scheduling one with Miss Groovy being herself.
Yes,
and,
yes, get on there.
She gets back from her little globe trotting, and she gets back from her trip, then we're gonna sit down and set up a date and talk about the book.
Cool, sounds good. Okay, I think Verna sent you a friend request. I think so. Anyways, there you go, Edie. Peace and love to you, and I am going to close out the show. Everybody in chat, everybody who listened, make sure you subscribe on iTunes, even follow us on Spreaker, because we will be doing shows, just not as many, but we will be doing them, and there'll be quality shows. If you like me, my goofiness, so there you go. Peace and love to y'all.